Hey everyone, today we're diving into the crucial mistakes controller mains often make, and more importantly, how to avoid them. Whether it's smoking the spike or a choke point, overextending, or neglecting teammates, we'll tackle the key areas to help you become a top tier controller. If you think you already know some of these, then feel free to use the chapters in the descriptions to skip ahead. Let's jump right in and start with the first mistake, failing to use smokes effectively on Defuse. The biggest mistake I see from controllers by far is not using smokes effectively in defuse situations. It's crucial to understand when to use smokes for defusing the spike versus blocking a choke point instead. Misusing smokes in this context can lead to giving the enemy team an advantage. And if you're a controller main, I'm sure you might have been yelled at already to smoke the spike, or why would you smoke main there when going for a defuse? But I've come up with a simple flowchart to help you know when to smoke the diffuser versus a choke point. So when do you smoke the spike versus a choke point? Well, I've come up with a simple flowchart here, and it's not perfect, but it should always give you an advantage for the most part. The first thing that you want to ask yourself is, do you know where the enemy is? If the answer to that question is no, then you always want to smoke the spike and force them to come to you. If the answer to that question is yes, then you want to move on to the next question and ask yourself, what is the team structure like? There's three potential situations here. One is you're in a 1v1, 2v2, maybe a 3v3, the teams are equal. So the next question that you want to ask yourself once you figure that out is, are they in a choke point? If they're not in a choke point, then you want to smoke the spike and let your teammates around you try to get a pick on the people that are trying to push into the spike or starting to reveal their positions because they're spamming the smoke. In a 1v1, you're just forcing them to you, so you want to smoke the spike anyway. If the answer to that question of are they in a choke point is yes, then you want to smoke the choke point because that gives you the advantage here by having them push out of the smoke into an unknown direction. If the answer to what is the team structure like is your team has more alive, then you want to smoke the spike every single time. If you have more people alive than the enemy team does, then you smoke the spike and let your teammates around you wait for the spams to come through, and then they can single out those people that are spamming or wait for them to push towards the smoke so that your teammates can then kill whoever's pushing towards the smoke. If the answer to what is the team structure like that their team has more alive, then you always want to smoke the spike because it gives you the highest advantage and forces them to reveal their position so that you can try to get picks with your team. If you're in a 1v5, a 1v4, you still want to smoke the spike and try to force them to you, or at least try to get some sort of a sneaky defuse. So let's see how this plays out in action in the game between Navi versus Gentlemates. They didn't know where everyone was, so they simply smoked the spike. And even if they know that Cypher is wrapping to tree and that Omen was in main, smoking the spike still should have been the move here because it forces the attackers to reveal where they are in an effort to spam the person defusing.
An overpeak. For a second I thought Artis would jump up, but he's tucked much further back. Navi have the time now. Spinning towards them. Door's going to be broken open. Post plant. It's a very late lurk attempt if Zagetsu's going for it. I'm not sure that he even will. Just covering his back. What a spam. Takas was seen and taken down. Xiao looking to do a little bit more. Down below as they fall, he's the one to swing to keep them boxed in from back of Jenny. They try to trade it out. Xiao's down to just a classic, not much damage to be done. There's the late lurk from Zagetsu, but it might be too late. Angel has to try to take them off that spike. It's already halfway. Good damage, but the spams need to come in now. They get it. He's got it across the line. Bayaz with a Red Bull clutch.
Mistake number 2 is actually ignoring that post-plant scenarios often require different smokes from a site push to make site holds and retakes easier for your team. In this clip, I want you to focus on Som, who's the Omen on NRG here. He's going to one-way smoke back site, and then on the post-plant, he's going to adjust his smoke to prevent the defenders from easily being able to trade.
They're probably going to have to go through the swing.
Triple face on the dumpster.
Vanity has Paranoia, shorty close, there's 1 for 1. But I don't think the Paranoia was thrown to allow the last 3 players to rotate back from the spawn. That's all of C9 about to walk out 1 by 1 through the smoke, and 1 by 1 they fall.
Look at how the defenders here have to come out 1 by 1. And even if they all came out together, the amount of angles that they're exposed to is much smaller than the amount of angles that Som's team has to focus on with just that one smoke. Mistake number 3 is that controllers should not be overextending and taking fights early when your team can be taking those fights instead. Playing a controller requires a mental shift away from kills are how I help the team to utility is how I help the team. At the end of the day, you do still have to hit your shots and frag, so don't play a style of Valorant where you're just avoiding gunfights. But overextending can leave your team without essential smokes for crucial moments. The one potential exception to this is Clove, who can confidently extend themselves past the site. Just make sure that you stay within the region that you can still smoke after you die. To understand just how important it is to stay alive for your team, look at how Boaster doesn't overextend here when there's a stack coming out of C, and then also when they come out of Garage later in the round.
ready. He's having a chat.
He's not overextending and taking these fights because he knows his utility is crucial for his team later on.
Yeah, a little bit of a...
And he goes back to looking at the minimap. You can see on the camera.
The IGL
Like, oh yeah, they
duties.
shot me, but hey, that means I spotted this amount of people. That means this, and is open.
Oh my god, Yampy with a running... What? Mystics just got Alpha down as well. Suddenly with the Sheriffs, it all looks so simple. As Hero tries...
Look at how his smokes changed this round. First, his smokes help Hero isolate the Jet and not get traded out on C-Link.
to close the gap, but it's Kiko who's on the other. Oh, that is not a good enough shot there. Hero will be happy. But there's still problems. Spike is down, sure, but still, there's a recovered weapon now. Mystic, Nats, both now equipped. Boaster on the back lines. They're gonna drift on by. Timing, he's been spotted, but he's gonna cause them problems. Tees up Chronicle, finds his man, Yampy's gone down.
Now the smokes that he throws in B main forces the KJ and Sova to get isolated as they get picked off coming out of the smoke. This round was entirely saved because Boaster didn't overextend himself earlier and try to take those gunfights with a team on a save round, and instead he used his utility to swing the round back into their favor.
It's just hide and seek. Away we go, he's off. Chronicle still holding the site. And now time becoming a factor that Spike is gonna get ticking. Nats though gonna fall on Hero. Being the backline defense, Mystic can't survive anymore. There was danger for a moment, but it was dealt with. Fnatic make it to 11, and the chances are starting to slip now for Liquid.
Mistake number 4 is using smokes when neither you or your team are ready for them, or using them too late. For example, watch how C9, who's the defending team here, uses their smokes in backside after the attacking team, which is NRG, takes control of the site entirely.
Able to TP away though at least. Victor continue to high gear inside the site. Vanity finally manages to dodge all of that util. Stays alive for now, but the site's given up and Energy gets the plant down until the paint shells come.
C9 has no control or visibility into site because they're all stuck in Boba behind a smoke. So the smokes that they threw were wasted in backside because there's nothing that they can do to capitalize on them, which makes the retake much more difficult because now you have to wait for those smokes to come back.
Through and drop Ethan through the smoke though. Crashes giving it a look back over to Energy. 4 versus 4.
Look at how all of C9 is now forced to stay behind these smokes until they go down, and they have to waste utility to get out of it in backside. This gives Victor, the Neon on NRG, a chance to get back to B main to play the spam game that normally happens on B main in Sunset.
Slow in. They even have a trip if they try to push here on the crossfire in B main.
C's being thrown, and there's a spray through the smoke.
The final mistake that a lot of controllers seem to make is failing to recognize the strength of mid-site smokes, which can put the enemy team in really difficult situations. As a controller, you have two main objectives with your smoke. One is to cut off the enemy sight lines, and the second is to change the physical structure of a site or map to favor your team. Look at this example in the Fnatic versus Team Liquid game, and look at how Boaster's first instinct is to help support his team on site with smokes that they can play around. The smokes that he puts mid-site changes the physical structure of the site to his team's benefit. Hero can pop out of this smoke in any direction he chooses, which gives him the advantage.
It's kind of been red here. It feels like either they're stalling out in B middle, or they're over towards Garrett in the camera. Should be quite telling. What is Alpha's plan now? He's got a couple of players potentially coming his way. No, they're going to wrap through spawn. Hero going to dip into the smoke. Liquid have made a little pathway here. And overwhelmed, Alpha goes down. That's better. The cavalry's arrived in the form of Durka, so no chance for a plant, but they did a little bit of damage.
And that's about it. Of course, there are always other mistakes that controllers will make, like not smoking flush with a choke point, not communicating your smokes in advance, or using the same smoke placements repeatedly. But these are some of the more important ones to master. If you found these tips helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, or hit that notification bell to stay updated with my latest content. And also leave a comment below with your own tips or questions about how to play a controller. Catch you in the next one.